Proverbs, chapter 16. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. It takes a profound kind of exhaustion to finally drop the map. You paved the road, you set the timeline, and you asked God to bless the route you chose. And then it collapsed. The doors didn't just stay shut, they vanished entirely. Now, the loudest sound in the room is the fear that you missed his voice. The quiet panic that your confusion is the price of a wrong turn, that you wander off the path, and now you are walking alone. But look at the text again. We love the planning. We grip the steering wheel until our hands ache, treating the Creator like a passenger we only asked for directions. But grace doesn't always look like an open highway. Sometimes, grace is God reaching over and turning off the engine. Your disorientation is not a sign of His absence. He's simply dismantling your illusion of control. Because as long as you are the one steering, you will never actually rest. There is a quiet, almost terrifying grace in finally reaching the end of your own cleverness. For so long, you've carried a heavy ring of keys, trying to unlock a future you thought you had to build from scratch, living under the crushing assumption that if you made one wrong move, one slight miscalculation, you would ruin the rest of your life. And so God does something that feels entirely like heartbreak. He begins to narrow the hallway. The handle you pulled with all your might simply refuses to turn. You stood there, asking Him for access. And instead, He let the dead end remain a dead end. We weep over the doors that will not open. We sit in the hallway convinced we are being denied the feast. But we never consider the ambush waiting on the other side of the wood. The environments that would have demanded your peace in exchange for a position. The tables that would have slowly starved your spirit just to feed your pride. He saw what you couldn't. A closed door is not a rejection. It is a rescue. He is taking the burden of choice out of your tired hands. He is stripping away the noise, the alternate routes, the endless what-ifs. Not to trap you, but to leave you with only one direction left to fall. Straight into His arms. When you finally stop fighting the closed doors, when you sit down in the quiet, a new kind of grief sets in. The grief of displacement. You return to the rooms that used to feel like home. You sit at the same tables, surrounded by the same familiar noise. But suddenly, the air feels terribly thin. The conversations that used to hold your attention now feel hollow. You reach for the old comforts, the routines and distractions that used to reliably numb the ache at the end of a long week. But you realize, with a quiet sort of terror, that the old anesthetics have stopped working. They don't soothe you anymore. They don't bring peace. They only leave you feeling heavy. You might mistake this heavy quiet for depression. You might look at your life and assume you have just become cynical, that you are losing your spark. But this isn't cynicism, and it isn't depression. God is not just altering your path, He is altering your palate. Your spirit has simply moved ahead of your flesh. What you are feeling is not the cold chain of religious guilt. It is the sharp, beautiful ache of a soul outgrowing its cage. He's breaking your appetite for the shallow, because you can no longer survive on it. And listen to me. It is entirely okay to mourn the things that no longer fit, to miss the ease of who you used to be. But do not try to squeeze a growing spirit back into a skin it has already shed. We have made an idol out of clarity. We believe that if we can just see the horizon, if we can just understand the why behind the closed doors, we will finally feel safe. We demand a map from heaven, but God rarely gives us a map. He gives us a shepherd. A map requires your intellect. A map requires you to navigate, that a shepherd only requires you to follow, even when you are entirely blind. When David wrote the 23rd Psalm, he revealed a hard, beautiful truth about our exhaustion. He didn't say, "He gently invites me to the green pastures." He wrote, "He makes me lie down." Because a frightened sheep will not rest on its own. It will keep wandering, keep calculating, keep knocking on boarded up doors until it collapses. Sometimes, the severe mercy of God is completely removing your options, just to force you to stop moving. You do not need to figure out the rest of your life tonight. You do not need to resurrect a plan that heaven has already buried. Do you remember Jesus in the back of the boat while the storm raged? He didn't panic, not because the storm wasn't real, but because he knew exactly who commanded the water. The most profound theology you can practice right now, the highest form of worship you can offer in this hallway of closed doors, is to simply go to sleep. Take off the heavy crown of being your own God. Close your eyes. He is holding the night.
Into my knuckles bled on doors doors you nailed and sealed ahead. I begged for light to see the ground, but in the dark is where you're found, where grace and shadow intertwine. So I will sleep inside the storm. The wind is fierce, but you are warm. I trade the weight of all my plans for the safety of the Maker's hands.
I don't need the sun to know the way.
I don't need tomorrow to survive today. You closed the doors I couldn't see to build a holy wall for me.